Hello everyone! Welcome to Highlands Motorsport Park, the fictional circuit which serves as the first round of the GT Legends Classic GT Championship with SimRacingOnline. This series, of course, is for classic GT cars, as the name suggests, and we have plenty to offer today, plenty that your father or grandfather or grandmother or whatever probably have a picture of somewhere in their house, and these are definitely the iconic cars of sports car racing. Let's see if we can't find any. Sorry for this. Just switching through a few. Okay, well that hasn't worked quite yet. So I think we'll just watch one of the cars like this until we get laps being set. So this is John van der Geest in his Ferrari 365 GTB. We also have Chevrolet Corvettes from 1967. We have Shelby Daytonas, Porsche 906s, De Tomaso Panteras, BMW CSLs, like the one I think just went past the camera there, and of course Nissan GTRs, a couple of Panteras coming up, and the Ferrari getting air as it goes over the crest of the hill. Brilliant sounding cars as well. I'm going to turn my volume up a little bit so you can hear them slightly better. There we go. That is always better. Hearing the classic noises of V10s and V8s and the like as they go around this unique classic circuit, one that of course never existed sadly, but still is very unique. We drove it with the 1967 Formula 1 cars back when we did the GPL series, the first one. It was won on that day by Yucca Drug, and today we'll see who comes out on top here. It's going to be a 60-minute race after this 15-minute qualifying session. It's a long track, just under 4 minutes if you do it right, meaning these drivers really don't get that much chance to perfect it on a qualifying run. I hope you can all hear me okay. If I'm being drowned out a bit by the sound of the cars, please let me know in the YouTube chat. And if you can hear me okay, that would be very good feedback as well. Anyway, John van der Geest about to start his first flying lap. I wonder if we're going to start getting people on the tower on the left-hand side of the screen. Not entirely sure yet, but we're about to find out. Is the stream buffering maybe? I think the stream just had a little buffer to itself, but anyway, still no drivers appearing on the board unfortunately, but anyway, we have here one of the BMW CSLs. Great sounding cars, they certainly looked ahead of their time as well, and so far we've had some quick laps coming in from Shaba Lacquer in the Nissan GTR. Davide Ricciardi, I believe the first driver on a flying lap here. Still no one on the tower sadly, but when they are we will be able to switch to a slightly better camera view. But anyway, let's watch Davide Ricciardi in the De Tomaso Pantera. First driver on track, cresting the hill. These cars can get air, they have the suspension to do so, as you've just seen there. And again over another crest. Past a sheer unforgiving rock wall, you don't want to lose control through that. A sign there welcoming you to Scotland, which of course is where this Highland track is set, as the name suggests. Through a very fast corner here, no corner names due to it being a street circuit. Big braking zone past some guardrails. Back in those days, of course, conventional tyre walls and tech pro barriers and things had not been invented yet, and as a result, safety standards were very low. Many drivers lost their lives or were seriously injured back in this period by their cars splitting apart and catching fire as they clouted barriers, like that rock face on the left-hand side. Although luckily, of course, sim racing, the danger has been eliminated, And luckily, of course, that also counts the danger of diseases such as the coronavirus, which may be halting a lot of real-world racing events at the minute, but can't stop SimRacingOnline, and 3 cheers for that. Anyway, still the De Tomaso Pantera rounds the backside of the course, heading towards the more street circuity part of the circuit. Of course, the whole thing is technically a street circuit, but there's a part that goes through the town, and that, of course, is the part at the start and the end of the laps. The bit that I'm talking about is right here, in fact. Through the streets goes the Pantera, about to cross the line. Let's switch back to this camera view and see it's a 3:50.712, so that is the time that these drivers have to beat. It's a long lap, not many chances to improve if you make mistakes, and as a result you have to be right on top of it. Ricciardi looks like he is exiting back to the pits here. He either thinks he's done enough or he's going for another one. We have to see exactly what happens there. But anyway, more laps coming in now. Tim Muttram sets a 3:52.783, goes second. Lewis de Vore is third, also in a Pantera. A couple of seconds in it at the top though. Jari Lakonen crosses the line. Very wide there, goes 8th. Kimi Martikainen, the first Nissan GTR that we've seen. One of the widest cars in the field, big rear wing on the back of that Nissan. 13 drivers have now set lap times, that's good to see. 14 drivers make that. 15, that's a great looking field that we have here. Make that 16 now. As we watch Martikainen lapping in the Nissan GTR. Second place now for Laurent Lons in another De Tomaso Pantera. So we've got Panteras 1, 2, 4. Here's Phil Brown in the Porsche. My goodness, look at the height difference between the Porsche and the BMW there. I knew that the Porsche was flat, but I didn't realise there was quite that much difference there. That is really quite something. I'm going to nickname that the pancake Porsche. That's the one. And the Nissan there in the background, that's pretty flat, but the Porsche next to it is absolutely dwarfed. That BMW must be twice as high as the Porsche. And of course that means that the Porsche is going to be more aerodynamic, more slippery through the air. Although as you can see, the BMW has a rear wing, the Porsche doesn't. I wonder whether the BMW might handle better than the Porsche potentially. We'll have to see how that develops as the series goes on. In terms of the series, in terms of the rounds that we have, of course it starts here in the Highlands of Scotland. Then for round 2 we head to Charade in France. That's an 8-kilometre long circuit, so another very, very long one. For round 3 we head to Donington, and I'm not quite sure whether that's the classic Donington from the 30s, or whether that's a more modern configuration of the Donington circuit. We'll have to see when we get there. For round 4 we will be at the Nürburgring, the old 1967 layout of the circuit, so that is the full one. Whoa, as a Nissan spins. Not quite sure. Oh, it's Lacko there, he's just been for that brief spin. John Van der Geest going through in his Ferrari. I think that's Van der Geest anyway. And Lacko will have pulled off the road. Who do you want to watch? How about Tim Muttram? Muttram is always an entertaining driver to watch in single-seaters. This is the first time I've ever seen him drive a sports car. So we'll have to see how he does in this. 18 drivers have now set lap times. And we've got at least another one on the server. Actually, we've got 2, haven't we? Because Kai Sivertsen hasn't set a lap, and neither has Ogo there in 22nd place. And that will be Jos Ogos. So still some drivers yet to set flying laps. But anyway, after the Nürburgring, which is round 4, we go to Virginia International Raceway for round 5, the full circuit. And then a circuit I've never heard of for round 6, Kalaburgi Motorsports Park. I don't know that at all. I'll have to do some more research for that before we get to the next round. Oh, yeah. Round 7 will be the Nürburgring Südstrecke, so much like the Nordschleife, but the south version of the circuit. Muttram now starting another lap, but Lewis de Vore goes to second place in the Pantera, meaning we now have Panteras 1, 2, 3. Ricciardi there getting held up by a Daytona. Not sure who that is, but I think Ricciardi's going to be losing some time on this lap. The Shelby coming back at him. The Shelby's going to go back through again. Indeed. The Shelby, of course, renowned for being extremely fast in a straight line. I think that's just Ricciardi setting up for a lap there, because of course we saw him go back to the pits and then back out again. So indeed, that's Ricciardi just setting up for a flying lap. Needs to make sure the Shelby doesn't get in his way again. As Sid Drake there crosses the line. Oh, and goes into the wall. He is P14 in the session at the minute. Let's continue to watch drivers on flying laps. Phil Brown we saw getting held up. Laurent Lons has just gone third, so we now have Panteras 1, 2, 3. Vasilis Dumanas goes 15th in one of the Porsches, the Pancakes. Does he make that corner? That's a tough one. Yes, he does. I'm going to see if we can stick with the top 5. Muttram a little way into his lap. We saw him start it, so let's stick with Muttram in the BMW as he goes around the back part of the course. Beautiful sounding car. I was just listening to it as it went through. Now once he goes over this hill here, you're going to see cars getting a lot of air over here. Oh, look at that as the front lifts up. That's due to the rear wing forcing the rear of the car back into the ground and the front lifted up. And that is beautiful to see. This may end up being my favourite series to commentate at this rate. Just because of how beautiful these cars are. How much they move around, how varied they are in terms of their sounds, their sights and their handling. And we may see different cars being more competitive than others at varying rounds of the series. Although of course a lot of these tracks are very similar in nature, very classic, very fast. So I'm not entirely sure about that, but we will have to see. Kai Sivertsen goes 9th. What car is he in? He is in a Daytona. Is he the highest placed Daytona? No, because Anstey is currently faster. Let's go back to Muttram. Oh! Did Muttram just touch the bales, or the Armco there? Not sure if he did. There's a Daytona rubbing along the wall ahead of him. And indeed, he's backed off, so Muttram backs out of that lap. And the time has ticked down, so he's not going to get another chance there. The Daytona now pointing backwards on the exit. So, checkered flag now. Ricciardi is not going to improve. He is not on a flying lap. De Vore, Lons and... well, not Muttram, but De Vore and Lons still might. They could still pose a threat for pole, but Ricciardi's lap a long way ahead of them so far. Watching De Vore. He is currently, well, I'm not entirely sure where he is on the track, but still, we'll watch him and see if we can see any evident mistakes. Brown's in the pits, as is Laxinen and Van de Geest. Through the final couple of corners comes De Vore. I recognise where he is on track now. 30 miles per hour says the speed limit board, although I doubt he'll be going slower than that. He touches the wall, crosses the line and does not improve. So that's the end for Lewis de Vore. What about Laurent Lons? Is he still on a lap here? Welcome to everyone in the chat. Everyday Gamer updating me that the sound is fine. Thank you for that. That'll be my friend Jeffrey. Thank you, Jeffrey. And thanks for tuning in as well. A couple of people saying Forza Gallo. Not entirely sure what that means, but welcome to all of you as well. Lons still lapping. 13th place there goes Stefan Lagodi. So that's an improvement for him. Improvement as well for Mark Jonzo. First time I've seen him race. And good should see him joining us with SimRacingOnline. Lons through the final corner and clips the wall again, just as Defour did, and he jumps to 4. Lons sets a 3:52.130, which puts him second, and I reckon that will be the end. Kai Sivertsen won't improve, and that is indeed the end. So the session draws to a close. Dumanas there improved just before the line, and that means this is the order. It's Ricciardi on pole, followed by Lons, Defour, Muttram, Brown, Lacko, Anstey, Van de Geest, Sivertsen, Lakunen, Matikainen, Dumanas, Dauger, Lagodin, Galuzzi, Jonzo, Drake, Tendil, Baliani, Origos, and then Donny Yorth. 21 drivers, a huge grid. Fantastic to see. And this is going to be quite a spectacle of a race here. Highest place Pantera. Well, we had 3 Panteras at the top. 1, 2, 3. Pantera's obviously going very well here. Top BMW is Tim Muttram in 4th place. Top Porsche was Phil Brown. Top Nissan, Sabalako. Top Shelby, Paul Anstey. Top Ferrari, John Van de Geest. Now, did we have a Corvette at all? No, Donny Yorth does have a Corvette, although didn't set a lap time. So whether he will be starting the race or not, I'm not entirely sure. So no Corvettes just yet, but anyway, we'll see how he does, if he does indeed start the race. Good luck to all of the drivers. Tommaso Baliani saying, if I get a position higher than P16, I'll be happy. Well, you just need to keep running in the race. I predict a relatively high attrition rate, so yeah, just make sure you finish. Of course, every position here will score points, I believe, so you don't have to worry about not scoring. Actually, I believe it's the top 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Okay, so never mind what he just said. It is everyone who scores points. Here we see the cars on the grid. Can't scroll through them unfortunately just yet, but it is Davide Ricciardi still on pole. Remember, he's alongside Lons and just in front of Defour and Muttram. We're looking for the Panteras at the start to pull away from the field, possibly, unless Tim Muttram or Phil Brown can stick with them. 30 seconds now until the start of the race. This is going to be an exciting one. Hold on to your hats as we get ready for 1 hour of racing here in the Scottish Highlands. 6 red lights are about to come on. They didn't have lights back in those days, but we have them today. And with 21 drivers, we are go in Scotland. It is go, and the Corvette is away, so we do have all 21 drivers, and we'll be able to see them as soon as they cross the first sub checkpoint. It'll be Ricciardi leading away, and you can hear the engines roaring. And actually, I think it may be the first sector, so I'll probably switch to this view so we can see. So Ricciardi does lead away. Lons has lost a place. He's dropped behind Defour, so Defour up to second. Let's stick with Defour and leave the camera there so I don't give you all whiplash switching back between all the cameras. I believe 4th and 5th have stayed the same there. Or do we have better cameras? Yes, we do. So it's Ricciardi leading from Defour, then Lons and Muttram. Are we all clear? I believe we've got... Yep, that's all 21 cars. So all 21 cars are through. Anstey now up into 7th, but he's been passed back again by Van de Geest in the top Ferrari. Muttram up to 3rd. Not quite. Muttram was on the outside of Lons there. He was challenging for 3rd. Didn't quite make the move stick. Side by side, cars in the background all the way through the field. Lons may be under attack again here from Muttram. Muttram looks as if he's about to come back at him. We've got battling Daytonas there. And Matikainen passing Sivertsen. That was the fight you saw going on in the background. Matikainen up into the top 10. You don't necessarily need to finish in the top 10 to score points, but it's definitely good to say that you were in the top 10. Baliani now getting ahead of Tendil. This is the sector where I expect that Nissan GTR to be much faster than the Daytona until they got to the straight, and the Daytona has another chance. Meanwhile, BMW of Muttram passing Lons, so Muttram up into third, Lons coming back at him now, and drags his way back through. That Pantera very slippery through the air. Plenty of moves going on. This is a place where you'd expect them to happen due to it being completely straight. Slipstreaming definitely possible in these cars, even though it's not as effective as in single-seaters. And Muttram initially used it to his advantage, but then Lons with the mid-range acceleration got it back again. Oh! And it was that wasn't Sivertson spinning, it was Lagodin. So Lagodin, first casualty, facing backwards, and he's down to 21st position and the very back of the field. It's a testament to the quality of these drivers that we've gone this far without an incident, but Lagodin there spun around, didn't see exactly how that started, but it did. But anyway, rejoins and he's still in the race. So we're now in the final sector of the first lap of the race. And still it's Richie leading. And side by side there. Not sure entirely who that was, but we did have cars side by side. Let's go back up to the leaders so we don't miss anything. DeFore certainly not allowing Ricciardi to get away. Ricciardi, of course, was very, very strong recently in our GT1 championship when he was racing that Lamborghini Diablo. Took a win or two in that, I think. And now going strongly in this De Tomaso Pantera as well. Lons and Muttram still fighting in the background. Muttram possibly going for a little move on the inside. Actually, I'm not sure he does quite there. Little move for 15th place. Sid Drake has just got past Tommaso Baliani. Does everyone make it through the first lap in one piece? I think they might actually, because you're still in the race in 21st. So I think we're all okay. And that really is amazing on a circuit like this. Great job to all of the drivers. Here's Yorth running in 20th place in the Corvette that we didn't see in qualifying. Not a great engine though on that Corvette. Sounds like it's running very, very low on revs. And there's Stefan Lagodin in 21st position, the last driver in the field, but still running. Back up to the front. Third place is the battle that's been going on right since the start. Of course they all have, but this is the closest one. Muttram did briefly get ahead of Lons on that last lap, but Lons got him back. And after the first 5 minutes of racing, it's Richie followed by DeFore, Lons, Muttram, Brown, Lackinen, Anstey, Van der Geest. No, that's Lackinen, so that's... oh, Lacko, sorry, got them muddled up. Lacko in 6th, then Anstey, then Van der Geest, Lackinen, and Martikainen. The top 10. Everyone else following through, still all 21 cars in this race. The Pantera's wheels going through its hubcap slightly. Let's try to ignore that. But anyway, down the straight, slipstreaming opportunity. Let's see what Muttram does. This is where he got past Lons last lap, but then Lons got him straight back again with the supreme mid-range acceleration of that Pantera. Over the crest of the hill, the BMW again lifting its front up, and it does get alongside the Pantera. Muttram on the outside now as we head up towards the prime overtaking spot of the lap. But again, mid-range acceleration. Lons just storms away from Muttram in the draggier BMW. Tendil there losing a place for 15th, or for 14th, sorry, and gets it immediately back again. You can see that happening on the order. Are they both okay? Yes, indeed, that's Tendil versus Drake there. Muttram now will catch back up to Lons in the twistier bits. On acceleration, he is far superior. But in terms of mid-range and late-range acceleration, the Pantera, monsters to BMW, and that may well be just why the Pantera is so fast around here, and just why all three of the top drivers have the Pantera. But it is still extremely close, just as it is there for 5th place between Brown and Lacko. Brown, we're used to seeing racing Ferraris. For some weird reason, he always seems to get put with Ferraris. Although today, of course, does not have a Ferrari. He has the Pancake Porsche 906. And he's holding off the top Nissan GTR of Saba Lacko. Ooh, have we got an incident going on further back? Nope, that was just Darga losing a place to Baliani. Thought there may have been an incident going on, but they've all been okay, luckily. As we complete another lap, still they're in the same order up front. Surprisingly so, because Muttram's got so close to Talons. It's amazing to think that he hasn't got through yet. Really, we would have expected it to happen by now. Gets onto the curb. As Drake and Tendil again go side by side, and again it's Tendil who gets away. Actually no, Tendil's made that move this lap, hasn't he? Ogos getting involved. Ogos, I believe, qualified, didn't he qualify 20th, so he's made up a couple of positions in these early stages in that beautifully liveried Shelby Daytona. Almost looks like an E-Type or a Sprite from the front, but anyway. Muttram now back to within 0.4 of a second of Lons. Briefly within 0.3 of a second. Of course, Muttram, the second highest ranked sports car driver in SimRacingOnline. So he has raced sports cars before, although I'm not sure I've ever commentated on him doing so. The top ranked driver in sports cars is also called Tim. That's Tim Muris, who is not here today and has not signed up for this championship. Meanwhile, Sivitson loses a place to Lorenzo Galuzzi. Galuzzi in one of the deep blue Ferraris. Wasn't expecting the Ferrari to do that well in this series. It's a bit outdated, very, well, it's front engine for a start, just as the Daytona is, I think. I may be just winding up sports car fans, but anyway. Yeah, I think the Daytona's front engine. It's certainly got a very long front. And anyway, the Ferrari's still going well nonetheless. I say that's outdated. We still, of course, have front-engine GT cars to this day with the Mercedes-AMG and the Bentley Continental. But anyway, Muttram alongside again. This time he has the inside on Lons, but it's not going to matter. Once again, gets back in the slipstream to make sure he doesn't drop too far back. The problem for Muttram is that is where he gets the advantage. That's where he pulls alongside Lons, but that's also where Lons can hold him off. This fight for the lower positions of the top 15 is still going on here. And that Daytona is surely going to be rapid in a straight line as well. Of course, the Shelby Daytona was developed as a NASCAR. Was brought in for the 1969 season after a couple of years of sports car racing. Fights going on all the way through this field. That's Darga versus Baliani for P18. Great race so far. It's one of those where you don't know where to look, but everywhere you do, you're treated to some fantastic racing and some wonderful looking cars. The next highest ranked sports car racer in this event is me, your commentator, followed shortly by Joe Brown, I think. He's the 30th best rated driver. Davide Ricciardi, who's leading this, 15th best rated, but I can imagine that he will be much higher up the order after this round, because he is going very well here. In terms of overall rankings as well, Tim Muttram, of course, 5th overall, and the only one of these drivers in the top 10 of SimRacingOnline. And you can tell why. Muttram driving this BMW to within an inch of its life. Ricciardi sets the fastest lap of the race. He's pulling away from the field, 2 seconds ahead now, as we're already 12 minutes into this race. Muttram very close to Lons. Again, this is one of the parts of the course where he gets close through the street section because of the downforce and the grip that BMW has. We're heading now towards his prime hunting grounds, but will he actually be able to get ahead? It's difficult and doubtful, because that Pantera is so fast. Obviously the fastest car here. Not to take any credit away from Ricciardi, Dufour or Lons, they're all very fast drivers, as we've seen from the GPL series. And as we're seeing again today. Takes a lot to hold off Tim Muttram, even in slightly better machinery. And surely there isn't that much to choose from between these cars. They will all be very close in terms of performance. The Pantera may just have a slight advantage, or it may have no advantage at all. Of course, it's not, this isn't foolproof. But whatever the case, they are still running 1, 2, 3, fending off that BMW of Tim Muttram in 4th place. So, along the straight again. Muttram not close enough this time. This is the furthest back he's been here. And though he still gets the front end up in the air, and though he still gets in the slipstream, he does not get a chance to get alongside Tim Muttram. And Muttram, for another lap, stays ahead, stays 3rd position. Sorry, Lons does, rather. Laurent Lons, of course, famous for finishing 3rd place a lot. Finished 3rd place in so many of the GPL series races that we did. But despite that, certainly proved himself to be one of the best. Bouncing over the crest of the hill, there you'll go. Yeah, it is absolutely fantastic to see all of these brilliant looking GT cars in action. Drake and Ogos going at it for 15th position. Ogos gets through. Ogos making ground up in the Daytona. His next target is Max Tendil, also in a Shelby Daytona. 2 seconds up the road as it is. Drake settling for 16th position now. You see the word slow on the road. That doesn't look very slow to me, as they all fly through the right-hander. And over another fantastic crest. I remember seeing a Cooper going over that crest in the GPL series, and seeing the suspension just jumping up and down. This is Galuzzi versus Dumanas versus Sivertsen. And Dumanas there, I think, lost 2 places in all of that. As you know, he was... Oh yeah, he did lose 2 places in all of that. So possibly made a slight mistake and allowed these 2 beefier GT cars through. Sivertsen on the inside now of Galuzzi. Gets the run out of the corner, I think. Although Galuzzi will have the inside for the next one. And Sivertsen holds it around the outside. Great move. You still see cars like these racing at the Goodwood Revival every year. And it's a great event to watch. I love watching these classic GTs in action. It's fantastic to see them going at it in sim racing as well. This is quickly turning into one of my favourite events that I've ever commentated in Assetto Corsa. And if you want to get involved with this league, you very much can. All you have to do is head to our website, simracingonline.co.uk, and sign up. It is completely free and easy to do. You will be assigned a car, and well, you're in. Just make sure, of course, that you have Assetto Corsa and you have the car mod downloaded. That car mod is also free. We're using the GT Legends pack. Just trying to find who that pack's by. I can't quite find that information right now. But anyway, it's called the AC Legends GT Classics pack. And the next round, of course, if you're interested, is Charade in France. And that is another download, but another free one. But anyway, back to the action. Tim Muttram, well, he's going to be getting so frustrated behind that Pantera. He will be seeing the back end of it in his sleep, but he won't want to see it for much longer. Goes alongside again as they crest the hill, but we've seen this happen so many times, and nothing has come of it. And once again, Lons gets the drag. And this will be feeling like a drag for Tim Muttram. As I said, he'll be seeing that rear end in his sleep. And I'm sure that he will be sick of it. Martikainen now up into 9th place. He's just passed Lackinen. And Lackinen back through with the acceleration. And that is exactly what we keep seeing with Muttram and Lons. It's happened again. Of course, Martikainen in the Nissan GT-R rather than the BMW CSL. But anyway, same difference and same result. Will he go back at it again into the tighter section? Yes, he does. Well, he took a little lick there towards a braking zone, but that's too fast of a corner to make a move in. And you'll often see that with these GT cars. The corners are just too fast, as you don't get a braking zone heavy enough to go for a move. Of course you do on parts of the course, but not there. Maxim Tendil now making a move on Vasilis Dimanas. Dimanas has lost a couple of places in recent laps. But anyway, I think he was 9th at one point, but he's now down into 14th position. Still going though. Still going pretty strongly. Talking of strongly, look at Martikainen all over the back of Lacko. It's so frustrating when you have a car ahead of you that you know you're faster than in terms of a lap, but you just can't get past them because they're so fast in a straight line. You get that all the time in GT racing, and you're getting that now with Martikainen just stuck behind Lacko. And Muttram, of course, still stuck behind Lons. There they are. And Muttram may get past Lons as they go on to that long straight up the hill. But it really is for nothing because Lons is always back ahead by the end of the straight. Relatively wide runs Lons there. Although that may just be a difference in lines. That is a corner you can take a differing line through. Certainly looked a bit suspicious though. Muttram has so much car control in that BMW. And look at that. Just so much tighter through the bend. He's already alongside him. Gets on the grass though. This could be a real chance. Well, never mind. I was going to say that could be a real chance for Muttram. And that's so close in the braking zone there. Oh, and wide, and I think Lons touched the wall there. I saw him look up as he turned into the corner. I think he may have touched the wall. And now they've got Phil Brown right on the tail of them as well. Ogos also passing Dimanas, so Dimanas losing place after place. Here comes Drake. And Drake looks as if he's about to get him as well. Dimanas not having a good time in that Porsche. Now, is Lons struggling maybe? He's been running wide in a few of the corners so far this lap. Seems to be okay, I think. Gets alongside Lons again, but I'm not getting too excited because we know how this ends. Over the crest of the hill, Muttram briefly ahead. And I say briefly because here comes Lons. And he's pulling in behind Muttram, so does he go back through? He's going back to the inside. Muttram may choose to defend this one for all of his life. No way, Jose. Well, I did get a bit excited there. I thought Muttram may have a little bit of a chance. But no chance. That Pantera is just so fast. Clues in the name, really. Pantera. Phil Brown also outperforming that Porsche there. We don't know what the Porsche is capable of. I believe there's only 2 of them in the field, maybe 3. But Brown, the first place of those at present. And looking to get ahead of the top BMW as well. And you're about to see, if they do go side by side, the immense height difference between that BMW and that Porsche. Once again, BMW, of course, there's a meme going around that the M8 GTE that is being used in the modern day is the most gigantic car ever made. But I tell you what, this Porsche would beg to disagree. Look at that! As they go side by side again. That BMW could sit on it. Maybe not even realise. Out of the turn they go. Brown got briefly alongside Muttram, although Muttram got the run. And that's a Ferrari, so that's not Lons there, as Muttram gets very sideways. Oh wait, no, that's not a Ferrari, that's me being silly. Never mind, that is a Pantera, and that is still Lons. Sorry, just thought it looked like the front of a Ferrari, and I was wondering if someone was being lapped. Although I think everyone's still a long way from being lapped, which is good to see. Still... Actually, come to look at the order, we only have 20, don't we? So I think someone... Let me just check quickly. I think someone may not have made it to the end of the opening lap. Oh, we've lost Tommaso Baliani. So Baliani has dropped out of the order, and he did make the opening lap. It's just because he's disconnected, it's put him to the back. So that's our first retirement. It's amazing that it's got this long. I'm not sure entirely when he dropped out, but... Oh, and into the pits goes Sid Drake, and that is a problem for him. We weren't expecting pit stops today, or at least I don't think we were. And whether he maybe thought that he couldn't go to the end or had an incident, I don't know. But anyway, Drake in the pits. Now, if more people come into the pits next lap, we know to expect pit stops. I personally wasn't expecting them. These classic tyres don't tend to go off particularly quickly. They're not slick. Or at least I don't think they are. Haven't had a good look at the tyres yet. Where is that slip? Oh! Lakinen's had a spin. Well, sadly we don't have a replay, but Lakinen there, who was running in 10th position, has had a little slide, and he's been passed by Sivertson, Galuzzi, Tendil, and Ergos, and he's now down into 14th position. So he has some ground to make up. Let's look at Tendil here, because he's now right on the back of Galuzzi. In that Ferrari. Past the rather modern looking bollards for some 60s racing, but never mind. It's supposed to be a modern classic, the street circuit, and it serves its purpose very, very well indeed. Muttram got so close to Lons again, and he's probably turning purple within that helmet with rage. Drops to a second behind by the end of that straight. Goodness me, that De Tomaso is one of the fastest race cars I've ever had the privilege to commentate on compared to its class. Now Tendil may have a go at Galuzzi. I told you earlier how fast the Shelby is probably going in a straight line, and through he goes. And he's going to have the inside too, so that's 11th place for Maxime Tendil there, ahead of Galuzzi. Now, can he get into the top 10? He's about 4 seconds maybe behind Kai Sivertson. A little bit under that. I think a top 10 is still definitely possible for him, especially since we still have over half an hour to go in this race. Tim Muttram, I think, has been the most pressing driver of the race so far. He's been alongside Lance so many times, but Lance has been so good in defence, just not making any mistakes, or any big mistakes, and not dropping behind. Tim Muttram, despite the BMW driver, obviously, with no disrespect to Lance, being quicker at this point in time. Muttram, of course, beat Lance in the F1 1967 championships. Muttram, one of the fastest drivers in those series, and about 0.4 of a second quicker than Lance on that last lap. Still within 0.8 of a second of him as they cross the start-finish line. Could this be the lap that he finally gets through and stays through? Again, it's going to be tricky, and I would say it probably relies on whether Lance makes a mistake or not. Incidentally, who was it who pitted a few laps ago? I think it was Sid Drake. He is now back on the road, so as into the pits comes Galuzzi. So it seems that some of the drivers are making pit stops today. Whether it will be all of them or not, we're still yet to see. I'm trying to get a good look at their tyres. Christian Darger also into the pits. Those look like slicks to me. So I think we do have all of these cars running on slick tyres. And that would mean possibly pit stops for everyone. Well, that is a surprise, but anyway, it's just going to add an extra layer of strategy and excitement to this race if it does happen. And that would also give Muttram another chance to get ahead of Lance if he can time his strategy right. And past the Armco barriers, past the flags, gets again in the slipstream of Lance. But this is the place where Lance is just too strong. Now what's this? Muttram may just pull ahead here as they go over the crest of the hill. But by the end of the straight, Lance will be ahead by a second. Maybe more. Yeah, here we go. 2/10, 3/10, 4/10, 5/10. Almost 7/10 there by the end of the straight. 8/10, they're still going. And as they reach the braking zone, it is a second. Just shows you how fast that Pantera is. Also shows you how fast the BMW is in the corners, if it can keep up with that De Tomaso. Very, very rapid car. And Muttram wringing its neck at this point in time, as he has been for the entire race. Not quite as sideways as we saw him in the F1 Championship, but of course he has amazingly more aero on this car than he did on his F1 car. Sounds weird to say, but it's true. So now, under half an hour to go in this race. We are over halfway through, and it's still Ricciardi leading from Dufour, Lance, Muttram, Brown. In fact, let's give you a full rundown of the field. And it's Lacko, Anstey, Van der Geest, Martikainen, Sivertsen, and then Tyndall still fighting hard with Ogos. That's over 11th and 12th positions. Lakkinen, and then Dimanas, who's back up into 14th after Basiliano's retirement. Jonzo, 15th. Lagardin, 16th. Galuzzi, 17th after his stop. Sid Drake is 18th. And it's Darga and Yorth in the only Corvette. I'm not sure whether it's that the Corvette is struggling or whether it's Yorth that's struggling, but whatever the case, Yorth a long way behind the field sadly, but it's still running. Into the pits comes Lacko, so it does appear that we are going to have front runners making pit stops. Maybe not all of them, but definitely Lacko, who's already stopped. And Martikainen, now that's slow. That's very slow for Martikainen. Has he got any power going to that car? Well, I think Martikainen's coasting back to the pits. I think he's out of fuel. Kai Sivertsen's also in the pits. So Martikainen there has run out of fuel. And it may well be not tyres that's causing these cars to pit. It's the fact that they can't get to the end without refuelling. Martikainen has managed to get back to his box, and I commend him for doing so with no power at all. Lakinen's in his box. Sivertsen is in, well, he's just leaving now. Quite a tight pit lane exit. They need to make sure they don't clout the barriers on the way out. Dumanis has just had an off there. That wasn't a pit stop. That was him recovering from being off the road. Any damage? Oh. Yeah, that's definitely damage. Look at where his hand is positioned. That car is not pulling in a healthy direction, and he's crashed again. And that's because of the damage to his steering. And now he'll have damaged it even more. And that car will not be handling well. Dumanis has had a tough race. Is it Drake now losing places? Oh, and he just touched the wall, did he? And I think Lakinen did as well. So a couple of cars getting a little bit dirty at the minute. Now, is this the chance for Muttram to stay ahead of Lons? He needs to defend. Come on, pull over to the right. I don't think it's worth it, to be honest. He knows as well that Lons is just going to steam straight back through no matter what he does, so he plays it safe, sticks to his side of the road, and just lets Lons by. There really wasn't much else he could have done. And no matter how many times Lons gets through, or Muttram gets through, Lons always gets back ahead. So, when will the leaders pit? Do they do it this lap? Surely they do. Will anyone else run out of fuel before the flag? Dumanis still losing places. Will he come back into the pits at the end of this lap for some damage repairs? Takes a long time, but sometimes it's necessary to prevent you from crashing again. Oh, Muttram's alongside Lons, and that's not at the normal place on the track. I think Lons finally made the mistake that Muttram's been waiting for. And Muttram is finally through to third place. He's been trying that for so long. And now he gets past Lons and makes it stick. Great move. Didn't see the start of that, but whatever the case, third place for Tim Muttram. Now, can he start to pull away from Lons, or will Lons get him back next time they go down that straight? Muttram needs to be so clean and precise now. Of course, we can't guarantee that they both won't just dive into the pits at the end of this lap. They might well, but we'll have to see it. Whatever the case, that is the change of order that we've been anticipating for so long. Look at Muttram sliding the car out. That's very much like the style we saw in his F1 car. Does not go into the pits. Defour does. So Lewis Defour from second place is in the pits. Now these other drivers will be leaving it longer because they want I suppose they want to refuel as little as possible, so they would have started on the max fuel that they can get away with. And John Van der Geest also in the pits in the Ferrari. And that's why these drivers aren't pitting it exactly halfway, why they're leaving it longer and staying out. I'm just going to check back on the website actually to see if I missed a rule or something that said there was a mandatory pit stop. I didn't think I saw one, but anyway. I really should have asked one of the drivers whether they thought there were going to be stops or not. Whatever the case, that puts Muttram briefly up into second and Lons back into third. But here comes the most crucial point on the track for Muttram especially. Can he hold Lons off on the straight? That is going to be the question. Right, now there is no rule that says it's a mandatory stop, so these drivers are pitting just so that they don't run out of fuel or tyres. Fair enough. So here comes that long straight where Lons has been so strong so far. He's a second behind Muttram. I think he may get past him here, especially with the added bonus of slipstream. Brown's going to be fairly close to them by the end of the straight too at this rate. Phil Brown still sticking with them. Right, Lons puts the power down, uses all of the power in that Data Masso Italian Pantera engine, jumps over the crest of the hill, lifting all four wheels off the ground. Not gaining yet, he starts to gain towards the end of the straight normally. Here we go, now he's gaining. I'm not sure it's going to be enough here, he's still over a second behind. 8 tenths. 6 tenths. Half a second. And it's not close enough. He got very, very close. But Muttram has managed to hold second position. That was the most crucial straight of the race there for those two. And Muttram has finally come out on top ahead of Lauren Lons. Now, can Phil Brown attack Lons? Or is Lons a safe third, or effectively fourth in the order, since DeFore's pitted and they haven't? That is soon to be discovered. These drivers, of course, still to make a pit stop. Whether they will or not is uncertain. I'm not sure whether it's possible to go the full way without stopping. But if you can, then you are allowed to. So, just over 20 minutes remaining in this race. I wonder if there are extra points for pole position and fastest lap. Yes, there are. There are 3 points for each. So those 3 points for pole position would have gone to Davide Ricciardi. And I think that the 3 points for fastest lap are also going to Ricciardi at this point in time, making him by far the most successful driver in the field so far. Looks to me as if he may be on his way to a hat-trick. Now, who comes into the pits this time around? Lons does. So Lons into the pit lane. Ricciardi, Muttram and Brown stay out. It's a good time for Lons to pit, actually. He was being disturbed by Muttram ahead, so that is probably a good time to duck into the lane. Puts Paul Anstey temporarily up into 4th position in the Shelby Daytona. Lons drops behind DeFore as we expect him to. Those two were in that order before the stops as well. Now, how close are they when he gets out? Oh, relatively close actually, only separated by a second. That is close. DeFore and Lons maybe in a fight here. I reckon DeFore lost some time overall because he was a long way ahead of Lons before the stops. And now he's right with him. So that's interesting, and that could end up being the fight for 3rd place on the podium if something happens to any of the top 3. Currently the fight for effectively 4th, I think, as we're still waiting for Ricciardi, Muttram, Brown and Anstey to pit. Is that Dimanas pitting? No, it isn't. That's just him losing a place. The Jonzo, his lap was 3 seconds slower, probably partially as a result of the damage he's sustained. A lot of understeer going on there. Ogos now loses a place to Tendil in that battle of the Daytonas. The Shelby squabble, as I'll call it. Oh, how I'd love to be out there racing that car with them. I bet it feels absolutely fantastic. So, less than 20 minutes to go now, just 19 on the clock. And then when that 19 minutes is up, the lap they're on will be the final lap of the race. So we can't guarantee that it's 19 minutes to go. It could be closer to 22, but we don't know. That's all still very undecided. So, in terms of the cars today, we've already seen that the Pantera, one of the quickest by far, it held the top 3 positions in the early stages. It's very close between the Porsche and the BMW. Ferrari hasn't had quite so much success today, neither have the Daytonas, or the Nissans for that matter. And there's only one Corvette which is currently running in... Actually, has it retired? I'm wondering what's happened to Donny Yorth there. Yep, Donny Yorth has retired. He was a long way behind the field, it looked like he was struggling, and it's obviously just become a bit too much for him, so 2 retirements now. Still, thank goodness it isn't war. What an amazingly clean race it has been so far. Not to cursed or anything. And now we've had... Oh god, have I just cursed it? Well, Christian Darger's just had a quick spin there. Luckily, I think he kept that the wall. Let's check for damage. Oh, there is slight damage to that car, isn't there? I think that is pulling slightly. He has touched the wall. Still running though. 19th position. Good for him. Although he did lose a place and all of that to Stefan Lagodin. Oh, listen to that echo of the engine. Okay, that is a wonderful sound there. Ricciardi and Muttram both into the pit lane. Ricciardi exits it, and he's still going to be a long way in the lead. Let's see where Muttram comes out in relation to his rivals. Does Brown go through? Yes, he does. Brown is still yet to stop. Does DeFore go through? Muttram was behind DeFore before the pits. Muttram may have just jumped DeFore there. I told you DeFore lost time. Tim Muttram is up to effectively 2nd position. Anstey also in the pits now. But the main talking point from that is that Tim Muttram has jumped ahead of Lewis DeFore, and he's now a long way ahead of Laurent Vons, who he was fighting earlier. So I think the effective order is now Ricciardi, followed by Muttram, DeFore, and then Lance. Tyndall also in the pits. In one of the Daytonas that we just saw fighting. He was fighting with Orgas, who continues. But yeah, what a turn of events there for 2nd position. Going to watch Matikainen recently, trying to pass Galuzzi. They're relatively close. Also, Kai Sivertsen setting his personal best lap of the race this late on. That'll be with probably new tyres, and the lightest fuel that he's had all race, for obvious reasons. That is, unless he refueled in the pit stop, which he probably did, so actually I take that back, never mind. That'll be mainly fresh rubbers there. And his first lap after getting out of the pits. Now, this battle has caught up to the back of Dumanas rather. It's a 3-way scrap for 13th position. All of these places are worth points. Everyone who finishes this race, or everyone who starts this race, sorry, scores points. But the higher up you finish, the more points you score, obviously. You also get points for fastest lap and pole position. Both of which I think are held by Davide Ricciardi, as into the wall goes Galuzzi. Galuzzi goes bouncing off the barriers. They may lose out to Matikainen. Matikainen on the inside. Let's see if Galuzzi has damage. We need to wait for him to get to a straight piece of road. Here comes a straight. Yep, that's damage. So Galuzzi has steering troubles. And this may give Matikainen the chance he's been waiting for. Not quite. Still, they're stuck behind Dumanas. Right again goes Galuzzi. Muttram also catching up to Brown, and that's interesting since Brown, of course, still yet to start. Could play a part in that battle still between Muttram and his rivals. Let's watch that as well as Muttram. Yeah, Muttram here possibly going to be held up a little bit by that Porsche. That could bring DeFore and Lons right back into the action potentially, if Brown isn't careful. Although of course Brown under no obligation to give way to them. He's not a lap down. So anyway, still running. And the gap to Ricciardi ahead, 13.1 seconds, as you can see on the screen there, on the timing tower. Showing just how close it is between the two of them. Galuzzi has finally got past Darmanis, he's on the outside. They're still side by side, in fact. Oh, and that was not a good camera view. Wow, that's almost 3 wide. They are... Oh! Thought they may go 3 wide, although that would have been almost suicidal there. Darmanis trying to hold on to it. And through goes Galuzzi with the damaged Ferrari. Good drive from Galuzzi there. And Martikainen as well now. And again, Darmanis, of course, also has damage, as we saw earlier. Not sure that he repaired it in his stop. Ooh, that's close to the wall. That was very close. And Martikainen gets through into P14 now. So Mottram still stuck behind Brown. He's back within a second of him. Now remember, of course, this may not look like much, but the Panteras are probably about 1.5, maybe 2 seconds faster than the BMW down the straight. So at this rate, they could be right on the back of him. Could pose a real threat here as they go towards the straightest part of track. So Tim Mottram with the wide, loud and powerful BMW has been running in the top few positions for the whole of the race, not quite second. In fact, he's still not technically second. Brown may well be trying to run the full distance, as I'd be surprised if people left it this long before pitting. In which case, of course, Mottram would have to get past Brown on the road, but DeFore's now within 0.8 of a second of him. This is a real problem for Tim Mottram. DeFore looks as if he might be about to get them both hit. As into the pits comes Drake for the second time. Mottram now goes past Brown. But here comes DeFore. What can DeFore do? Still a little bit too far back, I'd say, but going extremely quickly. The straight is very long. And Brown might be about to retake Mottram, and he does! So Brown back through to second place in the Porsche, showing that the Porsche is also faster in a straight line than the BMW. The gap to the Panteras behind is ominously close. I'm getting slightly sideways, keeps it under control. Martini livery, of course, although not actually sponsored by Martini, is Phil Brown. Mottram around the outside. Does he hold it? There's a braking zone coming up, and he holds it just as I expected. Brown gets back underneath him, very nearly. This is cracking racing for second place with just 10 minutes to go till the checkered. Absolutely brilliant. DeFore now on the inside as well, goes through to third. So DeFore through to third, Brown drops to fifth. Oh, sorry, to fourth. Brown still going for high results in this race though, especially if he can do the full thing without pitting. The reason we saw a driver run out of fuel briefly before was because, of course, they'd have only put in enough fuel to get them to their first pit stop, not to the end. And Brown may well have enough to get to the end. We'll see and see. Gets over the grass slightly, but keeps it under control. So, within a second now, DeFore on Mottram. If he can hold it there, he'll be in a good position to challenge once they get into the slipstream. Oh! Well, that was wide. That was wide there for DeFore. Gets out of the wall, but it was close. Vandegeest, meanwhile, passes Anstey for 6th. Is that because well, Anstey's moving slowly. Now, has Anstey run it? Well, his engine's running very, very quietly. I reckon he's running on fumes here. He may be out of fuel. Possibly forgot to refuel or something, because I think he's already pitted, hasn't he? Oh, that's going to be close there with Ogos. Be careful, guys. Yeah, that was careful. Anstey now is going to have to coast across the track to get back into the pits, and that's a big shame. He was running very, very strongly in 6th place, had been for a long time, but he's out of fuel as Argos also pits there. Anstey crossing the road, that's a dangerous situation, but he makes it. Oh, who was that? That was Sivitson clouting the wall. Any damage to Sivitson? Possibly slightly. That's wide, that's in the wall again. Bump, bump, bump. Now I don't see any suspension or steering damage, but I'd be surprised if he didn't have any after those 2 hits. Meanwhile, Anstey has made it back to his pit box just, and he'll still be in the race, but a long way down after what proved to be a very promising start. Big shame for Anstey. So let's see where he comes out. Oh, he's out. He's out of the race. Either he didn't quite make it to his box, or he's given up. But that is the end for Paul Anstey. Our 3rd retirement. Big shame. Still 18 cars remaining there. Now here comes Lance on Brown, and surely this will be an easy matter to finish. The Pantera is first. The Porsche is also first, but Lance isn't fuel saving and is on much fresher tyres than Brown, I expect. And he goes through seemingly on the crest of a wave. Brown coming back at him though. Oh, Brown on the grass! Keeps control, good control there from Brown, but yeah, that was not a conventional line. Taking the gardener's route there. I'm sure there are some Scottish lawnmowers who are very happy for the work that he does. But anyway. Now, Andrew Williams has updated us in the chat that the forum says the 906 can complete the race without needing fuel. Thanks for that update, Andrew. So it may well be that Brown can make it to the end, and may well benefit from staying out this long as well. I'm not sure quite where he started. I think it may have been 7th or 8th. But it looks to me as if he's going to finish in 5th place, providing he doesn't run out before the flag. Must have a slightly... Well, I don't think it would have a larger fuel tank than the others. It must just be slightly better in efficiency. But anyway, despite that, it's still running strong. So Lons now fighting hard with Defoe. Defoe made a slight mistake earlier this lap, and this is the fight for 3rd place in the race. Lons taking a look to the outside, Defoe going slightly defensive. We also had a move for 15th on that lap. Lackinen past Lagodin. Made it stick. Let's look back to this battle for 3rd and 4th. And they will only get 2 more laps now, judging by when Ricciardi crossed the line. So I think we are on the penultimate lap of the race. Not many more chances. Although that is, of course, almost 8 minutes due to the length of the track. Look at that. That was a fantastic shot there. Replay that if you like. Lagodin back up into 5th, so he's repassed Lackinen in that. He dropped behind him just a few seconds ago, and he's already back ahead again. Obviously it was just a brief mistake from Lagodin. Lackinen lost a lot of time in the pit stages, not quite sure what happened to him. Or I may have just seen it and forgotten. I can do that sometimes. Personal best there by Maxim Tendil. He's trying to catch up to Ogos. That's for 9th position in the order. Not fastest lap though, that still belongs to Richie, I think. Who will gain the maximum amount of points for a weekend if it stays this way. These drivers passed the pit-in sign. Lackinen getting a little bit twitchy, but okay. And And heading on now to their penultimate lap of the race as Dumanis locks up. And they may be about to pass Dumanis on this lap as well. Now Dumanis, one of the drivers who didn't pit because he's in the Porsche 906. Much like Phil Brown is, of course, and he's in a very similar situation, except possibly struggling a little bit more. And Lackinen will almost surely get him on the straight this time around, if not before. These Porsches have done a good job to hold them back for this long anyway. Lons are back to within half a second of Defoe for the lead. Ricardo Alitala says, well done Davide. Well, it's not over yet, but anyway. Or Alita, sorry, not Alitala, my apologies. Look forward to racing you in the last round of LMP3, Ricardo. We had a good fight the other day at Fuji. I'd like to point out that I came out on top, although Ricardo did. Oh, sorry, Ricardo did a very, very good job nonetheless, and it was a wonderful fight. Lance there, taking a different line to Defoe, possibly looking for an opportunity. Ricciardi about to start his last lap of the race, but it isn't as close to the finish as you think. Because of how long this lap is, you're probably not used to that. Lance ducking and weaving now. Very similarly liveried cars. But Lance not exactly treating him like a teammate. He wants to get through as quickly as he possibly can, because time is diminishing. It's ticking down, and he may not get another chance here. Actually, if they got the same number, maybe. It's 42 for Lance. The answer to life, the universe, and everything, of course. And for Defoe, he's in the wall. Oh, goodness. Okay, so Defoe backs off the wall. He's also number 42. Lance alongside him. Can he get the switch back? Not quite. I'm very surprised that Defoe managed to hold on to that one. That looked for sure to be his podium chances over for now. But still, Lewis Defoe runs in that third position ahead of Laurent Lance. Final lap now for everyone, except the people who are just starting their final laps. But Davide Ricciardi leads by 8 seconds. The main fight on this last lap of the race is this one for third position between Defoe and Lance, which looks as if it's going to go right the way to the flag. Say that. Sorry, just had a big yawn. Kimi Martikainen ahead of Mark Jonzo. That was a position change on the last lap, over 11th and 12th positions. That Nissan and that BMW look quite similar, to be honest, but not similar as those two Panteras do to each other for obvious reasons. And now the game registers it as the final lap of the race. It's Martikainen though, so it's his personal best. And Defoe gets 2 wheels on the grass. Lance certainly not giving up yet. He'll have the slipstream on the straights, and so he shouldn't give up, because this is not over yet. Here comes the longest straight of all. The car's echoing along it. Lance in the slipstream. Oh, Sivitson has had an off. On the last lap he was running 8th, he's had a spin. Now he's down to 10th and he's going to spin across the track again, struggling to get it go. Tyndall's up to 9th. Now does he try to get it restarted? Does he finish? No, and that's the end for Sivitson, so he retires from a top 10 finish on the last lap of the race. That's a big, big shame, and that moves Martikainen up into 10th now. Unfortunate for Kai Sivitson. Just couldn't get the car restarted after spinning. Maybe he had damage to his rear suspension that prevented him from getting going again. Or Or maybe he lost the engine when he... Oh! And is that DeFore? So, yes it is! DeFore's had a big slide and a wonderful save! Amazing save for Lewis DeFore! I've got no idea how he didn't crash out there. Well, let's look to Davide Ricciardi. He's in the final sector. He's got less than a minute to go, I think. But yeah, Lewis DeFore there got well and truly crossed up. I'm going to look back at the stream, which is on a bit of a delay, to see if I can spot exactly how that happened. Yeah, he just got over the grass, unsettled the car, and he did bounce off the wall slightly, but not enough to cost him more than just that third position. But anyway, Lons will deserve it. But Ricciardi will certainly deserve this victory. He's driven so well, and he's going to win it by 7 seconds at the end. Maybe a bit under that, because Mottram is catching on this last lap, but not by anywhere near enough to claim that victory. 17 drivers are going to finish here as well. This is going to be a fantastic result. So, oh, Ricciardi, don't throw it away on the final lap. That was a bit close, a little bit sideways there. And through the final corner goes Davide Ricciardi, and he wins the first round of the GT Legends Championship at Highlands. Mottram is second, setting the fastest lap, so he takes those 3 points away from Ricciardi on the last lap of the race. Lons is third, and that's why Mottram was pushing. He was going for fastest lap. Lewis DeFore is fourth after that big slide. Phil Brown's going to be the top Porsche, doing a great job to run the full race without fuel. He will be fifth. And I think my Driver of the Day award will probably go to Tim Mottram for absolutely flying all the way through that race, finishing second in a car that looked a little bit inferior to that Pantera, and for snatching away the fastest lap on that last lap of the race. John Van der Geest now is sixth. Saba Lacco is going to be at P7. He's still got a little way to go, a couple of corners through the city. And that was a change there for 10th. We had Jonzo passing. And Martikainen, is he out of fuel? Yes, he is. Now, wasn't Martikainen the driver who ran out of fuel before his stop as well? I may be remembering that wrong, but I think Martikainen has just run out of fuel for the second time in one race. That would be quite an achievement. Oh, as Dumanas looks to have spun. He's still going for 17th there. Lost 15th and 16th with that. So, more drivers finishing. We're waiting for here's Mark Jonzo, who is going to be very surprised to finish P10 after all of that, but does finish P10. He was P12 at the start of the last lap. But anyway, Galuzzi 11th. Riccardo Alitala typed in the chat, I knew that Riccardo was going to win. Well, he was very strong all the way through the day. And indeed, Ricciardi did end up winning. Stefan Lagodian, P12. Jari Lakkinen dropped back a bit at the start, but anyway, finishes P13. Here come... Oh, I don't think Martikainen's going to finish here. I don't think he has... Yeah, I don't think he can. I don't think he has the momentum. But we'll see. Christian Dauger's going to be P14. So he's made up quite a few positions in the late stages. Across the line, P14. Sid Drake, P15. Vasilis Dumanas will be P16 after the spin. Martikainen will be classified P17. And it's Sivitsen, Ansti, Yorth, and Basiliano. And that is the official order of the first round of the SimRacingOnline GT Legends Classic Sports Car Racing Championship. Ricciardi, Mottram, Lons, DeFore, Brown, Van der Geest, Lacco, Ogos, Tendel, Jonzo, Galuzzi, Lagodian, Lakkinen, Dauger, Drake, Dumanas, Martikainen, Sivitsen, Ansti, Yorth, and Basiliano. So that's the end then. We will be back in 1 week's time from Sherrod for another 1 hour race with these fantastic GT cars. So anyway, don't miss it. Tune in a week's time, 8 PM GMT, and adjust that time to wherever you are in the globe. Stay safe, guys, and we'll see you next time. Good night.